but by the time they're a year old, they nurse quite often. As a matter of fact, they nurse about every 20 or 30 minutes, 24 hours a day. So mom stays pretty busy. Now, whenever they're in those early stages, they're learning behaviors by watching their mothers. It's called mimicry. So many times, before they even start to eat fish, they'll have learned several behaviors just by copying mom. Now, when they're about 2 to 3 months old, that's when they start to eat fish. And that's when we can actually start their formal training. And that's when we can start forming relationships between the trainers and the dolphins as well. Now, these guys are all anywhere between 10 and 19 years old, so we've already had lots of training with these guys. But we're going to show you how we continue that relationship building by actually getting into the water with the dolphins. Now, it's very, very important that you learn each and every animal. They're all very different individuals, just like we are. So no two dolphins are the same. Some of them, for instance, would rather just sit there and get rubbed all day. Some of them would rather do all the big jumps. So they all do have different idiosyncrasies. And it's very important that you learn your animal. And likewise, it's very important they get to know us as well. Now, some of the ways that we can do that with them is what you're seeing right now. We're just getting in and relating with them. So giving them rubs, playing with them, making a game of it. You guys can see little splashes. I believe we're going to see a wave here. Going to wave hello to us today. So all of this obviously looks like a lot of fun, which it is. But at the same time, we're getting to know each of the animals. Now, once you've gotten a lot of these small behaviors, we can work up to larger things once you've built the trust between you and your dolphin. And right now, we're going to show you something called foot pushes.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Nicely done. Let's hear it out there for Rachel.
That's so cool.
Now you guys can see that whenever the dolphins do something correctly, you'll hear a whistle. That lets them know that they've done it right. And they can come back for some form of reinforcement. Now a lot of times that reinforcement is fish, but we have a wide variety of things that we can do to reinforce them. You guys can see Kay here is playing with his favorite football. So it's very important that they don't know what's coming next. So if it was always fish, it would get pretty boring for them. Sometimes we'll give them rubs, sometimes we'll splash them with water. We have all kinds of different toys, we'll clap for them. That way it's always new and exciting for them, and they never know what's going to happen. Makes it so much more reinforcing for the dolphins. Now the first and most basic of all of our behaviors is something that we call targeting. So we're going to demonstrate that over here with Brylan today while the other guys are playing. Now all it is you put your hand out and the dolphin is trained to touch their rostrum, or that bottle-like beak, out to your hand. Now with that, you can teach them to follow that hand wherever it goes. And if you wanted to teach something like a yes nod, all you have to do is to move your hand up and down. Likewise, if you wanted to teach a no nod, all you have to do is move your hand side to side. Looks like somebody's ahead of us today. He's got it figured out. Now, what do you guys think you would do if we wanted Rylan to spin around in circles? Yeah, it looks like we got some dolphin trainers out there. Very good. All you have to do is spin your hand around in a circle. Let's hear it out there for Rylan. He's being a good sport today. Now that works very well for a lot of those small behaviors that are right in front of you. What would you do though if you needed to teach a flip? Obviously your hand wouldn't be long enough. So for that, what we've done is we've taught them to touch a ball on the end of a pole. Brylan's gonna go check out that basketball and then come back and demonstrate that for us today. So this is basically just an extension of our hand. That way, if we need to teach something that we can't reach with, we can get small target pull, as you can see here, or as you guys will see in just a second, we can even have those up to about 20 feet long so that we can reach all the way out into the center of the pool. Now once they've learned to touch those target poles, we can set up several target poles around this perimeter. You guys hold your target poles up nice and high. All right, thank you very much, Alex. Now what we're going to have you guys see here is how we can have them follow those target poles around the perimeter of the pool. So have your attention focused over here on your right-hand side. We're going to see, I believe, Niele today doing a ventral fast swim. We're going to ask him to roll upside down, slap those target poles to let him know where to go. We're going to have one more right over here. And let's hear it out there for Niele. Nicely done. Now that was a great representation of how fast they can go. As a matter of fact, dolphins can get up to 20 miles per hour in short bursts. Now once they've learned that whole perimeter, what we can do with that is train it to actually include a trainer. So right now what we're going to do, Salvador over here already knows that perimeter, so he doesn't necessarily need the target poles. We're going to have him do that right side up, while Patrick here is actually holding on to his dorsal fin. Here comes Salvador and Patrick. Let's hear it out there for Patrick, folks. That was a great job. So you guys can see how we train them to stay at the surface of the water while going top speed. Now this next behavior, the way it was trained, is that we want the dolphins to go all the way from one side of the pool, all the way to the other, at the surface of the water, going very quickly. We use target poles initially to get them to the idea of which direction to go and how far. Currently, they no longer need the target poles. They know what they're doing. These are surfs. Nicely done. Let's hear it out there for all three of these guys. Woo! And not to be outdone, Salvador and Niele wanted to show off for you a little bit. Now you guys can see just how powerful they are. Like I said, these guys are weighing in around 400 pounds apiece, and they're almost solid muscles. You guys can see that they can do a variety of different things. They're very quick and very, very strong. Now what we're going to show you guys right now is how we use target poles to maneuver them into aerials. So, you guys saw how we can have them do things under the surface of the water with those target poles. Now we're going to show you how we get them up and out of the water. Now Brylan over here is learning a behavior called front flip currently. So what he has learned to do so far is to come over and touch the pole. And what he did right there, he actually did touch the pole, but what we want him to do is touch the ball at the end of the pole, not the very middle of it. So he did not hear a whistle that time. That way he knows that that wasn't exactly what we were looking for. But he did it again. Now we use something known as operant conditioning when we train the animals. Basically what that means is we reward the things that we like. Very good. And whenever they don't do it exactly the way we were looking for them to, we just ignore it. So we just look at them for about 2 or 3 seconds, and we try it again. And as you guys can see, he did learn from that. He figured out that the only way he was going to get that whistle was by touching the end of the pole. And now you guys can see how we teach that flip motion. So all we have to do is when we initially start this behavior, it's underneath the surface. We'll have them follow around in a circle. They'll hear the whistle, they'll get reinforced, they'll get that behavior down pat, and then as you guys can see, we can raise it higher and higher out of the water. Now we don't necessarily have to take it out of the water. If all we wanted them to do, for instance, was an underwater somersault, we would leave it nice and low, and we can teach them to do several positions along the front of the glass here. So what we're going to have Niele do here is what we call tumbles. Now he should do 3 of these. There's one. One more, Niele. There he goes. Now the way that we initially trained this is we had 3 people out here along the glass, and that's where he knew where to go. At this point, we've kind of faded out some of the positions.
so cool.
And he still did all three, but he wasn't exactly where we wanted him to be. Now for this approximation that we just did, we had the person that was over here showing him where that first one was kind of back off a little bit and exit. And he was still relying on that person a little bit, so he was a little forward of where he needed to be. We're going to go, I believe, one more time. Here comes the alien. If you missed it the first few times. All right, let's hear it out there for him, folks. So that's one of the ways that we can use that underwater somersault to shape it into a behavior for show. Now, the behavior that Brylan over here was learning a second ago, that front flip, you guys saw him come maybe about 4 or 5 feet out of the water and do that. Now, what we eventually want him to be able to do is to come probably about 10 or 15 feet high and do a full 1.5 flips. To demonstrate that for you today, we do have Makana, who's been doing this behavior here in show for quite some time now. I believe we're going to have a target pole position 2 to let him know where to go.